All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. We are back for another episode this week, and we have another new guest. We have Annie, who runs a Instagram account that's all related to travel. So, as everybody knows who follows us, we're very, very heavily invested in the travel world. We love to do it and explore and check things out. So, we've started to talk to people in that realm, and Annie is one of those people. So, welcome, Annie, and thanks for coming on to talk with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we
Um,
are so excited about this. I am so curious as well about what you do and how you got started in it. And I think it's very unique and niche. And so, before we kind of like dive into it about what it is that you do, I would love for you to explain like a little bit of your backstory as to like how you got into this position in this space online and what kind of like inspired that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, to like majorly rewind. I got married super young and we had kids super young. And so we were living with young kids on a single income salary on a really tight budget. And we've never lived by our families, and so we it was even hard and expensive to visit family. And so we were always coming up with creative ways just to travel, mostly visit family or meet them on family vacations. And anyway, but just always, I was always doing side hustles or things to earn money for vacations or something, because it's just something that we always valued. And as my family got older, I was starting, and again, we're young, but it kind of just felt like we were never going to be able to financially catch up, partly just because we started our family so young. And I was like, I want to be able to, I feel like when we're finally going to be able to a place where we can afford the travel we want, we're not, our kids are already going to be grown, or we'll do a couple bucket list trips. And I just wanted to travel more. And so I had heard a lot about credit card points and miles and how you can earn credit card points and travel for free or nearly free with the points. And I just finally decided, I think it was like during COVID, where we couldn't travel anyways. And I'm like, well, after COVID, we can't travel because of COVID. But then once COVID's over, I don't want finances to be a reason why we still can't travel. So it was around like 2021 where I just really dug in. And I'm like, no, I'm going to learn this credit card points thing so that we can afford to travel more. And I kind of went all in, kind of crazy coupon style, learning credit card points and miles. And since then, almost, I mean, we travel multiple times a year, and our flights and hotels are almost always covered with credit card points. And then I kind of just started an Instagram account about, I feel like credit card points, it's either something like people are really interested in, or it just goes over their head. Like,
yeah,
I'm not interested, don't want to get into that. And so I started posting about that information on my personal account, and I noticed that it was like the people that were curious were really asking me questions, or people were not interested at all. So
Mhm.
I moved over to a different Instagram account. I started a brand new Instagram account, and which is what I run now, Let's Travel Talk. And I went from 0 to 100,000 followers in 3 months. I just had a few reels
wow.
that went viral, and it just very quickly became my full-time job. And it was kind of a, I don't know. It was really just more overnight. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to do this, and I'm going to learn it all. And so that's what I do. I teach people how to travel with their credit card points. And then obviously we travel a lot with our family, which has been so great to be able to, those bucket list trips. I mean, before I learned about credit card points and miles, I wanted to take my family on a Disney cruise once, and I wanted to take my family to Hawaii before my oldest kid graduated. And I mean, now we've taken our kids to Hawaii. I mean, and my oldest is 13 right now. We've been to Hawaii 3 times. We've done the Disney cruise. We've been to Europe. We've been to Bora Bora. We're going to Japan in the fall. So we just could have never been able to afford what we're doing without our credit card points. And we don't travel full time or anything like that. Um, but I kind of show how you don't have to drop everything and go. I think it's so awesome that people do that. But my husband has a job with PTO, my kids are in school full time, so we're kind of just an average family that just really tries to maximize those school breaks, the PTO, and just travel as much as possible.
Very cool.
So what did you do prior to your Instagram account? Because that's relatively new. I mean, you have like a 250,000 followers, which presumably I would have thought it would taken longer than, 2021. So what did you do before that? Because it sounds like you were just sort of thrusted into this. A lot of other people, try to go and make that for themselves so that they can have an online business of sorts to be able to travel. It sounds like you were sort of the opposite. It just was sort of thrusted upon
Yeah,
you.
I kind of joke it was like handed to me on a silver platter that, I understand and respect the hustle and that people, it can take a while and it can take, and I was consistent when I started, but I don't think it's my stories necessarily normal. I think there was a lot of luck to it. It was kind of when Reels had just first started. And so I picked up an audience really fast that way. But I do think I had a background I was a family photographer. And I also had a few clients where I would run Facebook ads, and I grew on Instagram without using ads at the time. But I do think that marketing background kind of helped to know how to write the hooks and anyway, but yeah, marketing, the photography. I liked making videos with my family anyway. I like to travel. It kind of was like this perfect merge of everything that I loved and was passionate about. So definitely a dream job.
That's so cool. Did it surprise you at all? Like, were you like, wow, the amount of people that are curious about this and wanting to learn about that, was that shocking to you? Or were you like, this makes sense because obviously I want to do this too?
Yeah, no, I think it was, and again, it was coming off of COVID, where I think everybody wanted to travel. I mean,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was I mean, there were some accounts out there. I mean, there still are. There's a lot of like points and miles niche accounts that are and points and miles. So it did surprise me. I think what surprised me is I didn't feel at the time like super qualified or like I knew everything. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn this. I'm gonna learn all the things, and I guess we're doing this now. It did, yeah. And then like I remember one night because it was like 1 week I grew like 80,000 followers.
Wow.
And I remember my husband and I we were like searching bot attacks or like, I don't know. I'm just like, are these people? Like, are people actually following me? I mean, since then I've never grown at that speed. It's been after that initial 100,000 it's taken me. I feel like my growth has been more like normal or average and showing up consistently and posting all the time. But anyway, yeah, if I knew how to do it I mean, obviously I can't do it again. Or else
Yeah,
I'd grow
you do it
followers.
again every week.
Yeah.
So where did you learn this at first? Like you obviously were a student first of all of it before you became the person that people turn to. And so where did you go? Like did you go to other Instagram accounts? Was it like Reddit threads? Like what were you finding the most helpful for you getting started?
Yeah, so getting started, I was kind of nervous about jumping into the points and miles. Just, I mean, I've heard it can hurt your credit score. I had heard all those things.
Right.
Like, obviously, you don't want to get into debt. Maybe it's a lot to manage. Um, but I followed a podcast called Choose FI, or I don't know if you're familiar. I assume maybe the like financial independence kind of movement thing. Anyway, it was kind of a financial podcast that did a little bit of points and miles on the side, and they had I don't know if they still have it. This was probably in like 2018, 2019. I signed up for like a free email course from them. At the time we were saving to buy a house, and I was like, well, I don't want to open a bunch of credit cards, and I just wanted our credit score to be really good when we, took out a mortgage and things like that. So I kind of was learning about it, and I'm like, as soon as we buy our house, I'm like ready to go. I know what I need to do. I know what cards I need to get. And I did that as soon as we bought our house. I opened the recommended beginner credit cards, and then COVID happened, and it kind of
Oh,
like In hindsight, I should have just kept going and earning more points, but I kind of paused for a while. So it was kind of this like slow build. And then after COVID, there were quite a few Instagram Reels. I think just with the introduction of Instagram Reels, I don't know when that exactly happened. Was that 2019 through 2021? I don't know. But Reels started picking up and I started noticing like these it was really nice to, for me, consume in like bite-sized chunks when you're scrolling, and because it is a lot, but just learning a little as I went was kind of nice. So yeah, I would say that that's kind of how I got started.
Cool.
One of the things that I hear, and I'm not even like in your world of travel or anything like that, but one of and it's pretty common with anyone we talk to about travel, is people have this, I think it's a misconception just about how expensive travel actually can be. I mean, yeah, of course, you can go out and spend $100,000 in a 2 week vacation if you wanted to. Of course, you can do that. But the flip side is that you can actually travel in many different ways that are quite reasonable. And the one way that you use is the points and airlines, hotels, the credit cards, everything, right? And there's a million points and a whole system set up around it. But is that something that you experienced, even with your Instagram channel and people commenting, or, do people almost not believe, like, you must be worth $5 million if you're doing this stuff? There's just no way, or like, do you experience that?
Yeah, I'll experience that, or a lot of people will say like the only reason I can travel is because I people are signing up and I'm earning points through referral links or whatever. So it's like because I'm an influencer, that's how I'm racking up all my points. But for me, I monetize through like credit card affiliate links. So when people use my credit card links, most of the time I'm earning a cash commission, not points. So it really is a realistic thing that most people, I mean, I have a course, we have over 2,000 students of people learning to do this that aren't influencers, that aren't getting people to use their links or whatever. So it really is something that anybody can do if they want to. And to your point, I know before I got married, I lived in China for 6 months and taught English. And I think that's one of the things that kind of just sparked my love of traveling. But it can be so cheap. Like it
Yeah,
was so affordable to be there, the food, like I mean, I think I had calculated, and even like the cost of flights, I'm like, this is cheaper than 6 months of college. Way cheaper to live in China for 6 months. So I do think there is this misconception that travel can be expensive. What's cool about credit card points and miles, um, is just that you can travel in luxury too for nearly free when you're
hmm,
learning the point system. So a lot of times we are able to stay in these nice expensive hotels that we would never pay cash for because of the points and miles. So yeah, it is just another way, I guess, that you can travel super affordably using the credit card points.
So cool. So what have you found has been like one of the biggest perks of, I mean, obviously outside of like the travel, for us, like we talk a lot about just like the experiences that we're able to give our kids and how cool that is as like a family to be able to go and travel and do these things. And so I'm curious if outside of getting these luxury vacations or free flights or, discounted stays or whatever that looks like, is there like a perk to you that you're like, I could never stop doing this because it's been so amazing for us as a family?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. I love opening their eyes to, I mean, once we started traveling internationally too, I feel like, and we honestly, I think the first time we went internationally as a family was just 2 years ago. So we haven't been to that many countries or whatever. I guess that's relative, right? Like some people
yeah,
full time go to, I'm like, we've probably been to 5, 6 countries or something. And I love showing them that. I love like getting them outside of just our bubble. But another thing, especially like my oldest is now 13 and we're kind of in those tween teenage years, is I just feel like life at home is such a hustle and so busy. And it's such a great way to just kind of remove yourself from the hustle and just spend quality time with, and obviously you can do that at home. You don't have to travel to do that, but I do love the connection and the memories that we make when we're traveling because we're just so much
for
more
sure.
present and together.
Yeah. So did I see that you guys are actually in Hawaii right now, Annie?
No, it's a recap. We just got back from Hawaii like two weeks ago. So yeah,
Okay.
but I am recapping on my Instagram account right now.
I thought
Oh, Hawaii. Yeah.
I was like, oh well, they're actually in Hawaii right now. She's gonna get on a podcast. Interesting. So, could you give us an example of just that Hawaii trip and how, in your world with the credit cards and the hotel points, like you don't need to go to the ninth degree, but just like for the average person, like what does that look like for you to be able to do that? How does it
Like
work?
like how to book it with the credit card points, you mean?
Yeah,
Is
like
that
like how did you gather some of those points that you ended up using, and then how do you book it, and are there any little tips and tricks that you use to get upgrades or anything like that?
Yeah, so the idea I think usually, or this is what I did before I really got into the points and miles, is I had one or two credit cards and you just charge everything to those credit cards. And it was even a travel credit card, but slowly over time, it would take us 1 or 2 years, but we would earn enough points that maybe we could redeem them for like an Airbnb or flights to visit family or something like that. And the idea of this hobby is credit card companies give you an incentive like a welcome offer. Like if you sign up for this credit card and you spend $3,000 in 3 months, we'll give you 100,000 points, and that could maybe be worth 1,000 to $2,000 in travel or something. And so the idea is you are consistently earning these credit card welcome offers, and very strategically and smart, so you're not going into credit card debt, and you're organized enough that you're not that you're just on top of everything. And I will say it's not something I call it a hobby because it's not just like a passive thing. You need to manage it
Yeah.
responsibly. This is, but anyway, so what we do is about every 90 days, we will open a new credit card and we put most of our spend to earn those welcome offers on the credit card. And then once we've earned that welcome offer, we'll keep the card open for at least a year, and then we'll move on to another credit card and open another one. Um, and after it's been a year, we kind of reassess because some of these credit cards have annual fees. Do we want to keep it, close it, or downgrade the card? And that's just, and you can kind of just keep, and there's a method to it. There's a way to be responsible. Our credit scores are higher than ever. Except that's kind of how you do it. So that's how we earn a lot of our points. And then we can use those points to fly. We use credit card points to fly to Hawaii, and we use the credit card points to book a hotel stay. So almost everywhere we go, our flights and hotels are covered. So then we're just paying for our, activities and food, rental car if we need.
So how many cards would you actively manage at any given time?
I think right now, and I teach, I am a little crazy. We travel a lot. I don't necessarily think the average person needs to open this many, but I think right now between my husband and I, we probably have like 20 credit cards open, and another thing too is I don't ever put him as an authorized user and he doesn't put me as an authorized user. So then we can each open the same credit card and earn well,
Oh,
if that makes sense. And even like
yeah,
refer
yeah.
each other back and forth. So we'll earn referral points for just referring each other. So that's another way to get double the credit card points in a family.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I sometimes will. My extended family knows I do this, but they're not as like hardcore about it, I'd say. And I would say maybe I'm trying to think, like my brother, who again isn't thinking about this all the time. He isn't traveling as much as me. He probably opens 3 to 4 credit cards a year, and he's able to take two or three family vacations a year using those points. And then and again, you don't have to keep them forever. You can it's just kind of like a management thing where I don't know.
Right.
So there's like a method to all of it, but that's kind of the general idea.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never been in credit card debt before, and my credit score is higher than it was when I started this hobby.
Yeah,
So
but
those are
you're
kind of
not
the misconceptions. Like,
you're not really holding debts on cards. You're just spending the money where they're giving you a significant amount of points in return through these welcome bonuses versus just being like, yeah, we'll give you 1 point to $1 or something spent. Instead,
Mhm.
they're like, spend 3 grand in the first 3 months, and we'll give you 100,000 points, which
Yes.
effectively is way higher than 1 to 1, right? So you're
Yes.
just constantly staying in that zone of these credit cards. It's like almost every flight we take now, especially if it's to like Mexico or something like that, almost guarantee they're going to come down the aisle with
Yeah.
or in the
Yeah.
US,
Yes.
most flights you take in the US, airlines now come up and down the aisle saying, we'll give you 50,000 bonus points with this, that,
And
and the
I'm
other
always like,
thing.
no, don't do that one. Don't do that card, guys. I have better ideas for you. No, just kidding.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure there's way better options out there. So I'm sure a question you get all the time, like you mentioned this as well, like you obviously don't keep every card always. Like there are some you're going to let go of and cancel and whatever. But I have heard that rumor that by opening up different credit cards and canceling, it does ruin your credit score. So can you talk on that a little bit? Because that's something that for myself, I've always been hesitant to do this because I've heard of this before, but I just similarly don't want my credit score to be affected.
No, absolutely. No, that it was honestly a concern for me where it's like, yes, like, and every time you open a credit card, there is a pull to your credit. So your credit will dip, but then once you start spending, it generally goes back up. Just anytime there's a pull to your credit, it doesn't
Oh,
affect it forever. But I think there is this idea that when you cancel cards, like canceling is really bad. You don't want to, that's what I've heard, which it's not true, but there is a method to doing it. There's a bunch of different factors that make up your credit score. And one is credit inquiries and credit and closing your credit. Another one is just your credit utilization. So for example, when you take out a mortgage, you have all this credit issued to you. When you open a credit card, you might have $20,000 issued to you, but you're not actually going to be spending $20,000. You might spend $2,000 on it and then pay it off at the end of the month, but that's 20,000. If you open another credit card, you're going to get more credit issued to you. And that's your like credit utilization ratio is how much credit you have versus how much you actually are spend or how much credit is issued to you versus how much money you're actually spending. And so the more credit you take out, that doesn't mean you're spending, that improves your credit score. So what's interesting is most people think when people get into this hobby, your credit is going to be destroyed when really the more credit you open, the higher your score goes. And so often, once you have that much credit issued to you, when you cancel a card that you've had open for a year, yes, it affects your credit, but not as much as it improves it for opening more credit, having more credit issued to you, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Another thing that impacts your credit score is the age of your credit. So if you have a credit card, like I have a credit card I opened when I was 18.
Huh.
And that credit card, I will never ever close. It doesn't earn me travel rewards. It doesn't do anything, but that helps my credit score because of the age of the credit. So I always recommend never closing your oldest credit card or a credit card you've had for a long time. However, if you open one and you just keep it open for a year and then close, that doesn't affect it nearly as much. So that's some other things that go into your credit score that I don't think people pay attention to as much because like you said, it is true. It will impact your credit score when you close, but there's so many other things that go into your credit score that can actually improve it more than that maybe ding when you close a credit card.
That makes sense to me, because if you gave someone $200,000 of credit and they consistently showed you that they only spend or borrow 10 of that at any given time and then it gets repaid, to me, that would be a pretty trustworthy person. Like, you could give them, if you have somebody who has a $10,000 credit card, they max it out in 5 days and then it's permanently maxed out and they just pay the interest. Like, that's somebody, if you gave $200,000 in credit to, it's probably not a good idea. So
Right.
that makes
And
sense.
and then one other thing too that I mean, I would say some of the hate I get is you're giving people bad financial advice. You're going to ruin their credit score. And
Yeah.
what makes me feel better about that is the credit cards that I recommend, you have to have a good credit score to be able to qualify. Like they won't
Right.
even approve approve people that have destroyed their credit card or their credit score or have bad financial habits, or they're, that you have to have a good credit score. You have to be financially responsible for these type of travel reward credit cards for them to even issue. If you have bad credit, they're not even going to approve you. So I can't. So people with bad credit, that I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be like, hey, yeah, do this and rack up all this debt. They won't let you keep getting credit cards if your credit is bad, because you're showing the bank you're not responsible.
Yeah, but the other thing is that I mean that person could get whatever advice they want, and if they're totally undisciplined with money, I mean it doesn't really matter what credit card they get. Any access to credit is probably burned through very shortly, and now you're in a tough position to pay it back. Like that's just the game. That has
And they
nothing to
yeah, they
do with
wouldn't and they wouldn't qual yeah, like I said, they wouldn't be able to play this game
yeah. So
until
what
they
would be
improve their credit score.
do you like do anything with other countries in the world? Like look at how their credit systems work and credit cards and points and or do you just focus mainly in the US?
US. And are you guys Canadian? I
Yeah.
Yeah,
was So you're Canadian, yeah. So honestly, the US credit card system it's just the best as
it
Yeah.
far
is.
to do this. I think it is harder. I do get a lot of DMs from Canadians being like, do you know in other countries? And there are I don't know if you've heard of, oh my goodness, what's his name? Prince of Travel is a Canadian based website, I think, or company that kind of teaches points and miles. But sadly, I'm like, I'd be like, you gotta get into this. But it's different. It's US credit cards are the it's the country to do it in, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I mean, we have people that listen to us from the US too. So it's like it's beneficial for them. And I also think as well, like I have a cousin who lives in Canada and does this within Canada. So I know that it is accessible, whether or not it's to the same extent that I don't know. But like
No, it's different galaxies.
I do know people who do this. So like it's not a foreign thing to me at
Yeah.
least.
Well, I have lots of people I could send you to if you ever learned the Canadian credit card points world. There's a lot of people that's one of my most common, or not most common, but I get that
Yeah.
pretty frequently. People want to do it in other countries, and
So
sadly,
you just kind of have to push them in a different direction, sounds like.
yeah, usually I'll just kind of direct them to the few I just don't think the system's quite as lucrative. It's not from what I understand, but
Mhm.
I don't know it.
Yeah.
Like it's
I have actually looked into this whole thing probably back in 2020 as well. A lot of spare time back then. So
right.
and
That's
like
I was trying to do it. That's when I was looking. We're like, we got to get out of here. Can points help us get out of our house?
yeah, and like we have Amex cards and but the thing is and we were getting like back then we would get like an Amex card and then you could go spend $500 at like grocery store and get a Home Depot card. So if you spend $500 at the grocery store, they'll give you 3 points per dollar spent. If you spend it anywhere else, they'll give you like one. So you go to the grocery store, you spend $500 on a Home Depot card or whatever card you want. It gets rung through as a grocery store. You take the Home Depot card to Home Depot, so you just triple the amount of points you earn. The problem, at least in Canada, is that there's very few avenues for that, like cards that actually would work in that manner. And then
Mm,
the second problem is that the transferability of them is just not even close to what it is in the US. Like you get a credit card in the US and you transfer them to like 47 different airlines and you can transfer it to this airline and then through that airline to the next one and then over to Hyatt like for hotels.
See,
It
you know
just
it. You just can't do it.
I
That's
know,
not
we know
yeah,
it.
fair.
I actually would, to be honest, I would do it for
I
sure
know.
if
I'm like,
I
oh, you get transferring. I hadn't even gone into that. I mean, I was just telling you how to earn, but then to even make them
yeah.
worth more is through the you know it.
No,
You know.
I followed the points guy for a long time, so like I just I conceptually understand the whole thing. It's just I can't really I like unless I were to get somehow credit in the US,
Yeah.
like there are ways you can do it. Like what Asia was saying, you can do it in Canada. You just can't do it in like the manner that you can in the U.S. It's like a wild, wild west there of credit cards and points and transfers and
It really is. I actually don't even completely understand why we are so lucky that we have
yeah,
these
and
options.
even in Canada, if I think this is true, if you were to book a flight using strictly points, like you might pay like $11 in taxes or something in the U.S. to fly from like Seattle to New York or something like that. Here it would be like 100, at least 100. You'd be like full points, and then you'd be like $100, and it's like 450 to fly there and back, anyways. So
Yeah.
it's very different. I'd be curious to know if there was other countries in the world that have it similar to the U.S. Like uh, that would be interesting to know.
You know what's so interesting? We went to Moorea, which is a country off of the like in Tahiti, French Polynesia. We were on this tiny island, and our tour guide was kind of asking us about like what I do for work, and I'm like, this is a really weird job what I do because it's like Instagram and I was trying to explain like credit card points to him. I'm like, this is crazy actually. Why does America do this? I mean, it's amazing, but like
Yeah.
his points are just like a different currency. But anyway,
Yeah.
so just explaining it to somebody who really had no concept of, I mean, I don't think they even have credit cards there. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I should know more. I should learn more about, but anyway, it was interesting because I mean, you guys have credit cards, you have an idea, even, but somebody that just explaining that concept
Yeah.
of credit card rewards and points is
Yeah.
it's interesting.
You're dealing with like the most complex credit system on the planet, and then throw points on that, and they're like, "What's a credit card?" You're like,
Yeah.
So for you to keep track of all this, I think that is where my biggest downfall would be. And probably that's probably what you see too, is people who are like, hey, this sounds all good, but like I have 20 credit cards. Like, what the heck do I do with them? Like, I'm sure you teach this in your course as well, like a method of how to keep track and how to use them properly and effectively so people aren't racking up debt or forgetting to pay off different ones that they've.
Yes.
So are you like an Excel spreadsheet girly? Like, what is your kind of like method that you teach people on how to keep track of all this?
Yeah, so I mean, there's some apps out there that can help you help you track things.
Okay.
Google spreadsheets. I kind of do both. I have some
Yeah.
apps. I have the spreadsheet, and that is super helpful because, yeah, once you have this many, I mean, you need some method of tracking, or else,
yeah,
and that's could be people's downfall potentially is if you forget about a credit card or whatever. I also put all of my credit cards on auto pay, so that will pay my statement balance. So if if I I don't think I've ever forgotten a payment, but part of it is because I'm definitely setting auto pay on all of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
To go in and manually, I guess you could just set aside a day where you're like, okay, this day every month I'm going to pay all of my credit cards. And that being said, a lot of those credit cards, I'm not spending money on them every, it's like once I've met that minimum spend, a lot of them just go in my sock drawer or whatever. Actually,
Right.
it's more like a Pokemon card type collection where I put my credit cards in oh, it's right here. If you want to see, here are all my credit cards.
there you
There's
go.
a lot of them.
So
So,
so even though you have 20, you would really only be spending money on a couple of them
yeah, yeah, it's
that are
not like
within the
a
bonus
lot of them
period.
I rarely use, or if it's a hotel card, if I'm staying at that hotel, I'll know I'll get like, 10 points per dollar spent, or I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but a lot of times when I travel, I'm thinking, okay, I need one with no foreign transaction fees. I need one for the hotel if I charge expenses. But I kind of I don't carry this around everywhere, but I'll have the ones that I use every day, the one I'm working on a minimum spend, and then the rest are just kind of sitting there, not being used.
Do do you notice like massive inflation within the points system? Where it'd be like, oh, I've saved 100,000 points, and it used to be 100,000 to fly this flight. Now it's 187,000. Like, do you notice that, or is it
Yes,
pretty
yes. So
tame?
it's actually there's a phrase in the points and miles world that says earn and burn. So instead of with money, and that's kind of what's fun about them. With money you want to invest and be responsible and whatever. With these credit cards, I mean, the idea is there's always going to be devaluations with different airline programs or hotel programs. And so if you just sit on your points and don't spend them, then honestly, in a year they will be less valuable. Or
Mhm.
yeah, I always encourage people don't sit on your points. Earn them. Once you have enough to book a trip, book the trip, because in a year from now, that hotel might cost more points, or that airline might cost more points, or that the transferring to another airline, maybe you won't be able to transfer anymore, or the taxes and fees might go up. There's just a lot of different things.
Hmm.
So just take advantage of the like sweet spots or loopholes while you can, because a lot of times they're changing, or it's just like inflation, it'll go up just like money.
Yeah. But they can essentially make those points at will, right? Like, is there really anything like an airline, for example, with if there's like 100 million points out there, and they were just like, hey, let's just sell more points out, and now there's 200 million. I don't. Is there anything really that stops them from doing that?
And I would say it's more just they increase the cost of the travel you're wanting to book. So, just like they increase the cost. I don't know about what the issuing more or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I've heard similar that is just they become significantly less valuable every 10 minutes you hold them.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
gotta get rid of them.
Yeah. Earn and burn. That's a good strategy.
And then
So,
I mean, I think credit cards will be around forever, but there is this idea of like, who knows what this will look like in 10 years. So, I think a lot of people are hesitant to get started because it feels overwhelming and it feels confusing. But, my pitch to them would be this we don't know what this is going to look like in 10 years. Take advantage of it right now when it's really
Yeah.
good. And yeah, so and then on top of it, you don't have to know everything to get started. Like I think it can feel so overwhelming, but it's just like we'll just start with one credit card,
mhm.
at least earn a credit card that earns points, even if you don't want to. And a lot of people, most of my followers, I don't think want to ever have 20 credit cards. They're not going this hard.
No.
This is what I do for a job. I probably wouldn't go this hard if it wasn't my job, but that doesn't mean you couldn't strategically add a few cards every year to earn a big chunk of a sign up bonus, or just learn how to use those points more efficiently so they're worth more, like you were explaining, transferring, learning how to move points to an airline or something to just get more value out of those points versus just like cash them out for money.
Every time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Asia.
I was just gonna say, so you mentioned too that you guys are like a very typical, normal family. You're not a full-time travel family. So like how many times per year would you say that you do travel? And is it mostly on points or do you get like affiliated travel as well now because obviously you have such a large platform?
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to think how much I go on lots of little trips. I think that's the other
Okay.
thing is we I think the longest we've ever gone is like 10 days on a trip, and part of that is just my husband can't take more than 10, like a
Yeah.
little more than a week off of work. Um but I'm trying to think. I probably go on like I'm traveling at least once a month. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
just the long weekend or things like that. We've done probably two international trips a year. This anyway, I don't know. So I would say we go on about 6 to 8 family vacations a year, and then on top of that, visiting family or things like that. But as far as like sponsored stays or things like that, I actually don't do that very much because I want to teach my followers how to use their points.
Right.
And I'm actually almost all of my trips I'm using credit card points to book this stay. A lot of times too, when you're an influencer, hotels they will give you a stay for free. It's harder to get paid by hotels to stay there. It's like we'll let you stay for free in exchange for content. And I'm like, well, I don't want to. I'd rather just I have points, so I already have a free stay with my points. And so anyway, I rarely will do hosted or sponsored stays because I use my points, and then it's still a free stay. So.
Yeah.
And then
But
I
I
can
think
teach
that's
my
that's
phone how to the sweet spots on points.
I feel like that's good though, because you're also staying true to your niche and you're being authentic with your
Mhm.
people that are following you. They're like, I'm following you to know how to do this, not to be like, they're not following you to learn how to build a large Instagram account to get sponsored stays, right? They're following you to learn how to use points to be able to do this themselves. And I think it's so cool too, because we like within our network of people, so many people are like travel is a pipe dream for them and they don't see it as something that's possible. And so I think this is so cool because if you can stay organized with it, and like you said, not be a fool with the money spending, like that's not what this is about. It's about being strategic. I just think it's really awesome because it gives people that opportunity they might not have seen for themselves. And I'm sure you've heard tons of like success stories from what you do of people who are just like regular people who probably never saw these big travel experiences or vacations in their life that like by following what you do have been able to do that. And I think that's priceless in my opinion because I mean, obviously someone like yourself and us who like travel quite frequently and we love it, like the experiences you get from that are just nothing you can get at home. Like you need to be able to go and see the world. So I think that's so cool. So I think what you do is sweet. I wish we had more options where we were.
No, I wish you did too. You'd have it down, I'm sure.
It would be Aaron. Aaron would be the one that would have to manage it all for me. I'm way too flighty for that, but like
My
he would
my
do it.
brother.
I need one. What's funny is my husband doesn't know any hardly anything. And I'm not that he couldn't learn, but a
Yeah.
lot of it like you only need one person in the family to be
Yeah.
managing it. And it is a lot of brain space. So just yeah. So he just comes along for I call him my like travel logistics support person. So it's like I figure it all and then like when we get on the trip, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna be the passenger princess. You get the rental car and you drive us around.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I figured out how to pay for or how to do this for free. So do the rest.
Yeah, exactly. And or he's your extra body when you're like, we're gonna each get this credit card.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
double up.
There's a phrase too, like I'm player one and player two, like two player mode is so he's
Yeah.
like a willing player two. You just need someone willing to give you your his social security number so that I can
Yeah.
open up a card or he can open up a card, you know.
Yeah.
So but he's really great in that way. I do think there are some people it's like getting their spouse on board. It can be hard or whatever.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
understandably, I'm not saying that, you know, I think it's smart to be to have questions about getting into a hobby like this. And
Of
obviously you need to
course.
have financial trust between you and your spouse. But anyway, he's always been a very willing player too. And so I'm grateful for
Well,
that.
he would really question it if you just started going on a lot of trips without him. So I think he's
Yeah.
probably
Well, and then this is like the dark humor joke because I'm like you know you hear the stories like a spouse will like open up all these credit cards and rack up debt and then just like leave them. I'm like it's gonna be the opposite. Like I've opened all these credit cards and now you have all these points and free
Yeah.
travel. It's like the opposite of
Yeah.
the
yeah,
Go
scary.
wherever you want.
Like I'm sure there's a flip side to this when you know if people are racking up credit card debt on
for
their
sure.
opening cards for their spouse, but that no, we're doing the opposite
Yeah,
over here.
that's not what we're teaching over here.
Yeah, no.
So did you start the Instagram account, Annie? It just kind of came about on you, and then did you end up designing a course to go along with that Instagram account, or?
Yeah, well, see, again, this is another thing that was kind of like a silver platter to me, where I'm like, I got really lucky. So I have a business partner, Camry at Our Family Passport is my business partner, and she had been working on creating a course, and right around the time we became friends and I went viral, she was like, "Hey, you're good at marketing, and I've created this course. Do you want let's do this together." And so we launched I launched a course like a month after I like within 4 months of having this Instagram account, I had launched a course with my business
Wow.
partner. Like it was really insane. And then I kind of joke that we have our course like designed like um freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, just as you like progress, like the basics, and then you get more and more complicated. And I just joke,
Mhm.
I'm like, well, I learned all of senior year from my own course that like Camry did because I was just so new to points and I mean, I knew the basics, I knew I knew how to do some redemptions, but I hadn't traveled internationally on points yet and things like that. So anyway, but we launched that course in 2022. So I think it's now 3 years old. We have over 2,000 students, and it's just so fun to see all of them travel on points. Like, this can work for anybody. You really
Mhm.
don't, I mean, anybody but Canadians. No,
You can do it in Canada, but you're only going to get like one trip every
I'm
once
just
in a
kidding.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm as far as just like just the average person with a good credit score really can learn this skill. It's and it's just really fun that it's been 3 years, so our students have gone everywhere. Some of them are taking this even further than we do, which is like really fun to watch and stuff. So yeah.
Cool.
So where do you see the business side of what you're doing going, like over the next 3, 5 years? Like, where do you see the course, or would you add new things to what you guys offer, or?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting about just the credit card industry is everything's changing, and there are a lot of affiliate rules, and that's, again, I think we had talked about a lot of reasons why I don't need to do sponsored stays either, is because I make most of my two main income streams are like credit card affiliate income, and then course income. So anyway, and now I just lost track of your question. Oh, where is the credit card industry going? There's just always things are changing. Rules about credit cards are changing. Just this week, Chase announced a bunch of changes, or they like launched a new credit card, and then also a lot of like the rules around how many times you can get a credit card kind of changed. And so, we're back in our course updating it and things like that. So there are changes, and you just kind of have to stay up to date with what's going on. And I just kind of take it, one day at a time. But I don't know, just taking it one day at a time, and I just continue to grow and keep our course updated, and we'll just see where it takes me. I don't know.
Is your course like
Fair.
subscription? Is it a subscription based course, or do you guys do like live trainings with your students as well? Like, how do you typically run it?
So it's not subscription based. So we usually just open up the course like 3 or 4 times a year,
Okay.
it's video based. We have PDFs, videos, charts. We also have a Facebook group and a masterclass membership that when they join the course, they can be enrolled in the Facebook group and the
Uh-huh.
masterclass course for 3 months for free. And then after that, they can continue a subscription, but they will always have the main course and all of the updates to the main course for life once they buy the course.
Cool. And so I'm curious too, just from almost transitioning out of the travel world, but more into like the entrepreneurial space. Like, how have you found that transition, especially something that you maybe didn't plan for yourself, right? Like, you probably weren't like, this is what I'm hoping to get out of it. You're probably just like, I want to teach people about it because I found it so interesting. So, how has that transition been for you? You said you did some like marketing and stuff beforehand. So, you have a little bit of a grasp of what it's like to work for yourself, but this seems so much larger scale. And has that been like a big transition on yourself or your family? And has there been things that you've had to like work through in order to see the success that you've gotten to at this place?
Yes, I don't know. Sometimes I am like, is this normal? The roller coaster of like high highs, low lows with just being entrepreneur. But yeah, it is an adjustment because it wasn't necessarily, I mean, it came so fast. I didn't necessarily like have time to like hope for it or something. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is awesome. This is I love it. I love it. And then I just kind of got thrust into this world, and
Mhm.
um yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of high highs and low lows, I think, with being an entrepreneur, and then just the Instagram space is also, I mean, it's interesting because I don't know many other jobs where you're constantly like seeing your competitors online, like
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, and I do think when you're an entrepreneur, there's always something more you could be doing. So it's hard to just have that work-life balance. Like I love the flexibility that comes with it. That's amazing. And then there's also like, okay, but when are you not working? When I turn on my like when I
Yeah.
open the Instagram app, am I working or am I in, I don't know. So that's just constant. And my husband has very regular, I wouldn't, it's not a 9 to 5, it's more like a 7 to 6. He has a very high, like works a lot of hours. And so a lot of that means that sometimes I have to work in the evenings. I'm doing the kids after school and things like that. So it's just learning how to get the stuff done in a little time, but also feeling really grateful that I can, make my own schedule and I don't know. And I
Uh-huh.
mean, you guys being paid to travel is great, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, so cool.
I have maybe one last question if you don't have any more, Asia, but if you were to collect as many points as you would like and go on one vacation, where would you go and what are sort of the things that you would do? Maybe if your ideal points vacation.
Oh my goodness. That is a hard question because I have a list. Can I give you more than one or just
Yeah,
Sure.
I want to
okay?
Yeah.
hear.
I would say like and again some of them aren't quite as easy to do with points, but we could probably use points for flights or whatever. But the running list that I would love to do before like my oldest graduates, we'd love to do an African safari. My oldest really wants to go to Australia, and I think and then I want to go to China. We're going to Japan in the fall, so we've done every Disney park, and I also lived in China for 6 months, so I'd love to take my family back and then also hit like the other two Disney parks in China. And then there was one more that's I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But anyway, I want to go to Switzerland so bad.
Oh
Mm,
yeah,
That's
Switzerland
another
is
one that I would love.
Switzerland's
I don't
amazing.
know, but then I'm like, my list is so long. And the great thing though is now it's like there isn't just one. Like we
Yeah.
really can. This is a reality. Like we're gonna do it all, or that's the goal.
Yeah.
And it's possible. Like it is possible. And I'm really grateful it's possible. It's not just
Yeah.
a one destination.
we
I think
definitely
we
have African safari on our bucket
yeah.
list. Well, our
Yeah.
kids would die and go to
Where
heaven
where were
if
you guys the 6 months you were traveling? Did you guys go lots of places or
We were in Costa Rica from October 1st till basically December 30th we left. So we were in Samara, which is up in the northern west part of Costa Rica, and then we went down to a place called Jaco, which is just sort of on the outskirts of Manuel Antonio Park, which is like I think it's the largest array of species of animals in the world, that area of Costa Rica. So there's just like monkeys and all kinds of birds and sloths and just things roaming everywhere. And then we actually flew out of there to Dallas. My brother lives in Dallas, so we spent 2 weeks at his house in Dallas. He gets all those points, and we have conversations about it, and it angers me. And then, he goes, "Oh, well, you guys flying somewhere? Well, I'll see if I have any points that I can blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So then we flew out of there mid-January to Bangkok, and we stayed in Thailand in Bangkok for a month, which was a very interesting experience and one maybe you can relate to a little bit, being in China for 6 months. It was more difficult than we thought, but it was very cool and very fun. And I think it was a very eye-opening experience for our kids and Asia and I, but I think we expected a little bit more than they would have expected it to be like. And then we left that to Australia, which felt basically like home. So it's nice and sunny version of Canada. People speaking English and normal food to eat and things like that. So and then we were there for a month, and then we flew home in March.
yeah.
So that was our 6 months, and I think we've created little monsters now because they're like watch a TV show or something on animals, and they're like, "Yeah, we should go to the African savannah, mom and dad." And we're like, "Yeah, of course." Like
that's
Sounds easy enough.
how old are
so,
your kids? How old are your kids?
5 and almost 4.
That's
Yeah.
so awesome. I will say, like when you were describing just staying longer, I did a study abroad also in Europe, and it was a 6 week study abroad, and we were like moving. It felt, I mean, we were doing school in the morning, but we were moving destinations. It felt more of a vacation than when I went to China and I was like really immersed in it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that is when, as you're describing that, I'm like, man, I really am just hitting the vacation. Like we went to Costa Rica in November, but we just did. I mean, not just. I'm grateful for it, but it is such a different experience to live there and experience
Yes.
it and do every day. And so I'm just happy for you guys. I feel like it's not necessarily my desire at the phase of life that we're in. And
Uh-huh.
and I do think it's so cool that it's so much more possible now to live abroad and make money online. I think COVID even made it way more possible. So I am always like, oh, I feel like I missed, not necessarily. I know if I wanted it bad enough, we could drop everything and go, but
Yeah.
kids are young, it really is so much easier. So I'm
It
like, go
is
for it,
yeah.
do it while they're young because I
It's
think
much easier.
we're getting in that junior high, high school where we really value, and my kids value being in a community and just doing the regular life or
Yeah.
whatever. But so cool
Yeah,
you're
and they
doing.
also they gain like they have friends and then they eventually don't want to leave those friends. Like those are the
Yeah.
people they want to be around, right? Like so it definitely right now while we're still our kids like best friends, it definitely was like the time to go and do it cuz eventually we're going to have kids that are in sports or whatever and they're not going to want to miss 3 weeks of hockey if it means that, so
Yes.
yeah, we definitely
Like
were
you said, and
thinking,
I also think like Eastern culture, I mean, I know Thailand and China are different, but also it is so much more different than Europe or anywhere
Oh
else.
yeah.
It's a totally different culture. And it's so cool that you were there longer than a vacation amount of, you know what I mean? Just to kind of immerse
yeah.
yourself for
Yeah.
long.
I highly recommend if you go to Europe, Gold Coast area. There's
You mean
so many cool.
Australia?
Yeah,
Australia.
in Australia, sorry.
Yeah.
Gold Coast in Australia. It's right outside of Brisbane. But there's
Oh,
so many
okay.
things to do, like around the town. There's little mountainsides and other little towns in the mountain. And you go south, and there's like surfing heaven, I think, and like there's just a million things. It's always sunny. There's these canals running through everywhere, and it's just very beautiful place with a lot of stuff to do. And then Switzerland, you said Switzerland, which I've been to Switzerland, and it is one of my favorite places. Just so we live in Annie, we live in huge mountains, but
Yeah.
they're like a little bit spread out from each other where we are. In Switzerland, it looks like they're like 10 feet from each other. Just they're the same size mountains, but they just look unbelievable with these little houses pitched along the sides of the mountains everywhere. So I we've both lived in BC. Well, I've lived in BC most of my life, and when I went there, I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." So I've seen a lot of mountains, and I thought it was
They
mind blowing how cool and just compact and everything. It's a very cool place. So
Yeah.
highly recommend both of those to you.
well,
So good.
we'll get there eventually. That's the
For
goal at
sure.
least.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and if you
where
get there, we'll see it because we'll be following along on
yeah.
Instagram. So
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so where can everybody find you before we let you go? How do they find you on Instagram? How do they take your courses? What do they got to do?
Yeah, so you can follow me. I'm mostly on Instagram at Let's Travel Talk. And my course is called Travel Reward University. And you can find my course at travelrewarduniversity.com. And it's closed right now. You can join the wait list. We are going to open up a sale for the summer really soon. So it's a great time to join our wait list. And it really does just what I like about our course is it just breaks it down into just bite-sized pieces so that it's just not so overwhelming. And then we also have a Facebook group just for our students, and we're in there every day. So as you're taking the course, you can jump on the Facebook group, ask questions, and we have all of our students there that can also chime in and help answer your questions because I just think leaving people alone to figure this out, like it's
yeah,
you'll have questions. So
Yeah.
we try and there to also answer your questions as you take the course. So yeah.
Cool. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening tonight
yeah.
to chat with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Amazing.
That was very cool, and thank you for joining us, Annie. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye everyone.